Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on Stargirl Season 2. So Stargirl was the last DC show, or DC TV show might I say, we got to enjoy on our screens, go, hey, this is really cool. And until January, that's it, until January, and that's when The Flash and those other January premiere shows start up again. But at the end of Stargirl's Season 1 finale, we got a good amount of cliffhangers and just general setup for the second season. This including Eclipso and that whole, the blue or black diamond, the Shade, and of course the reveal that Sylvester Pemberton, aka Starman, appears to be alive. Now in regards to that last one, we don't have any information on that for this video at least, but for the rest, we do have some news which is pretty exciting to go over, and I'm excited to just talk about it. But of course, throughout the video, be sure to let me know your various opinions on this in the comment section down below. Which of these new characters and castings get you the most excited, and where do you think it could go? And where do you think it could go? In season 2. I'm always curious to hear your thoughts. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video, just want to show your support for the channel, would be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show your support and everything like that. So yeah, we got 3 new castings for Stargirl Season 2 now. I'm sure we'll get more as the weeks go on, but these are just the few we've got now. So the first one is Eclipso has been cast, and the person who's being cast as Eclipso is that of Nick Tarabay. Now when you look at him, you might go, hold on, he looks pretty damn familiar, and that's because he was actually Captain Boomerang on Arrow. Now, he only appeared in a few episodes, but I'm sure he's, if you watched Arrow, you'd remember him, and even Flash, because he was in that crossover, of course. Which is weird, you'd remember him more from Arrow than Flash, saying that Captain Boomerang is one of the Flash's rogues. Anyway. Now, Eclipso is one of the main antagonists set to clash with Stargirl's JSA, or Justice Society of America, in Season 2. He has a life essence trapped inside a blue diamond, which was once owned by the ISA, or the Injustice Society of America. And of course, that diamond was stolen by Cindy Berman, aka Shiv, towards the end of Season 1. Now, this will result in problems for the JSA going forward, as Eclipso is an ancient entity of corruption and vengeance. Brimming with a cold, terrifying darkness, he exploits the flaws of others, reveling in the impure and sinful, sadistically feeding off the dark side of humanity. Now, of course, it will be interesting to see how he's portrayed on the show. Are they just going to make it that Eclipso is always there? Like, does he just escape from the diamond and that's it? Or are they going to make it that, Eclipso's spirit, if you want to call it, or aura, sort of infects others, and he's sort of in their heads, making them do stuff, and that, feeds that, corruption, and everything, like exploiting the flaws, making everything dark, and that builds him up to the point where he can become a physical being and be more overpowered. That'll be interesting to see how that's represented on the show, because they could go either way. Like, really, if they make it that people just get sort of possessed by him, that's probably the cheaper way to do him, because they wouldn't have to do makeup and stuff. But he's being cast now, and it's been announced now, so that makes it seem like he's going to be there from the get-go. So it'll be interesting to see what they do there. But Jeff Johns, the showrunner, did say that Eclipso is so terrifying. I've always loved the character, and he is a very different antagonist or villain than the Injustice Society of America. So yeah, with Eclipso being in Season 2, you can expect it to have more dark undertones, and I think Season 1 had that. Like, Season 1 had very, fun elements. Like, for the most part, it was fun, but it really had those dark undertones, throughout the entire first season, with death and just all this going on. So I think, Eclipso is going to bring that different side of darkness and be just more evil, if you want to call it. I think just like that pure evil side, instead of this darkness with like a motivation from what the ISA was doing. So it's going to be interesting to see how they, go with Eclipso and how they, tackle it. But I'm excited to see how he looks as well in live action. If you've heard Nick Tarabay speak, whether it is as Captain Boomerang or just his normal voice, you can tell why they cast him. His voice is very menacing. But the second casting to go over is that of the Shade. Now, Jonathan Cake has been cast as the Shade for Season 2. Now, he was actually Blackbeard in, I think, Legends of Tomorrow Season 3 or 4. It was. Now, I think it was only for like an episode or something, or 2 episodes. But he's been in the DC TV universe before, similar to Nick Tarabay when he was Captain Boomerang. Now, the Shade, an English immortal, is a classic anti-hero from DC Comics who wields magical shadow powers. He's tall and slim with an elegant 19th century way to his speech and manners. He masks the horrors he experienced and people he's lost in all the time. He's been alive with wry, witty retorts and a false sense that nothing really matters. Now, of course, we saw him right at the end of Season 1. He comes into the ISA's base. sits down, looks at the news report that's sort of like covering up what happened with the satellites and everything, and sort of talks about how Jordan's plan was very silly, like it was never going to work and everything like that. And of course, we'd heard earlier in the season that the Shade had actually betrayed the ISA, but now he's back in Blue Valley in the ISA's base, and we can assume that the other ISA members that are left over that didn't die or whatever in season 1 will join him, or the Shade will go out of his way to try and get them in, or get the ones that he needs. You know, there might be like the gambler who comes back and the Shade doesn't need anything from him, so he just goes away, or he just tells him to go away, or maybe even kills him or something along those lines. But then he might need like Tigress and Sportsmaster, for example. So it'll be interesting to see what he does there. But Jeff Johns said this about the Shade. He goes, "The Shade is the most powerful of them all and very threatening because no one knows exactly what he wants," which is a very important thing. I've said this in previous videos when I brought up the Shade. He's an interesting villain because he's a villain everywhere outside of his own city, where he sort of protects it as a hero. So it's going to be interesting to see how they do that and represent that in Stargirl Season 2, because they could change it up a bit, where maybe he's just a villain towards certain things and a heroic person towards other things, rather than just a city in general. So that they could change it up a bit there if they wanted to, but it'll be interesting to see what they do. I think, you know, his powers and stuff will look fairly cool. It is important to remember, Nick Tarabay has been cast in a main role as Eclipso, but the Shade is only meant to be recurring, but he'll be in the majority of episodes. Like, I think he'll still be in a lot of the episodes. It's just that he's not on the level of what Eclipso is. So Eclipso is the main villain, while it looks like the Shade is just going to be like a constant threat throughout the entire season, along with, I assume, the rest of the ISA that's left over. And the final casting is actually an interesting one. Now, this is, hopefully I'm pronouncing this name correctly. It's Yeesa Penarejo. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. If I'm wrong, please let me know how to pronounce that correctly, because I'm sure I'm going to have to say this name many, many times throughout the next year. But she's been cast in an undisclosed role, a recurring role as a undisclosed DC character. Now, this opens up a lot of doors, because usually when this happens, it makes you just question everything. It's like, okay, well, hold on, why aren't you revealing who this character is? Is it that important where you can't say, oh, it's, you know, Jimmy Bob or Sally Girl? Like, why can't you just, you know, tell us who it is? Is it very important, or is it meant to be a big reveal in the storyline? And let's just assume it is, because why wouldn't you just let us know? Because I think the only character that was cast in season 1 that they didn't reveal the identity of was Henry King Jr. When he was cast, Jake Austin Walker, I think the actor's name was, when he was cast as, you know, Brainwave Jr., he was cast in an undisclosed role, and this led many to believe that he was actually Wally West, because he just, you know, red hair, Blue Valley as well, Wally West. But he was obviously Brainwave Jr., but I think he was the only one cast in an undisclosed role, which was fairly interesting. But who could Yeesa Penarejo be? Well, I think the one that a lot of people would want her to be, and I've already seen it talked up a lot, and it's the person I think I'd like to see as well, and I have my reasons for it as well, is Jennifer Lynn Hayden, aka the Jade, or just Jade, but she's a version of Green Lantern. Now, Jade has the ability to access the power of Alan Scott's Green Lantern ring, and just, I guess, the battery as well, because she is his daughter. Alan Scott's her father in the comics. Now, Jennifer Lynn Hayden's mother is also a DC character known as Thorn, who's been a villain as well. Now, Jennifer is born with powers or metahuman powers due to her parents, but only really discovers them or has them emerge when she's trying to defend herself later on at a later age. Now, of course, they've been teasing us with the Green Lantern stuff, you know, last season, with the Green Lantern battery and everything like that, which is still in Courtney's house. I'm not too sure if Pat has it or if it's back in Courtney's room, but it's in the household there at least. And the fact they are keeping her character under wraps for now by saying it's an undisclosed DC character, it's very interesting. Now, Yeesa, once again, not sure how you pronounce it, is 20 years old, the actress. So it could be seen that maybe she is a new student at Blue Valley High. All the kids there, like the main kids we hang out with, range from the ages of like, I think 21 to 28. So they're not all like 16. So they're all in their 20s. So she definitely fits that age bracket in regards to, you know, matching their appearance, if you want to call it. So we have it that she's maybe a new student at Blue Valley High or something, and then throughout the season, her history and I guess also her potential future as well start to emerge. It will be interesting to see what they do here. I think a lot of people want her to be Jade. If I look at her, I'm like, yeah, she could definitely be a Jade. So it'd be fairly cool if they went down that route. Now, Stargirl Season 2 has started filming, which is why you're pretty much getting these castings now, because either these people are on set now or they're going to be appearing on set in the next couple of days or the next like week or two or something. Now they're only like, as I said, like a few days in at this point, so it'll be interesting to see when we get like a first looks at these characters. I think that's another question in itself, is like Stargirl won't be premiering season 2 until around like the middle point of next year, like I guess like May, June, maybe even July. It won't be starting at the same time as like The Flash, Batwoman, Superman and Lois, or Black Lightning. We're waiting a bit longer for this, but maybe like when we hit into like The Flash starting on TVs, we might start getting some like first looks at characters. So maybe like, you know, maybe February or March, we might start getting some first looks, and then promos for Stargirl probably wouldn't start till April or something like that, or about a month out from the show starting again. So we'll have to wait a bit, but I'm sure the wait will be worth it, especially if maybe even if Yeesa or Yeesa, however you pronounce it, actually ends up being Jade, or a version of Green Lantern. That'd be very, very cool. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show your support. Let me know in the comments section down below your various opinions on this. Which one are you most excited for? Do you have another casting idea outside of Jade? In regards to that casting, I'm always curious to hear what you guys have to say. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. And yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.